Okay, today we are playing a game on Lijiang Tower. We are in the Platinum SR range, and we will be playing Symmetra the entire way through. And our current team composition is Winston, Hammond, Symmetra, Sombra, Lucio, and Anna. So we've pretty much got a dive comp with Symmetra in it, which, to be honest, is not the end of the world, because Symmetra's teleporter is, like, pretty good. And, just like having the Symmetra running around in there with the laser, or just chucking orbs in there, is like pretty annoying actually. The thing is, Symmetra Sombra as a combo of DPS is fairly low on the DPS end, unless like the Sombra is really good and the enemy team doesn't really care too much about stopping the Symmetra, which, to be fair, is frequently the case. So, you know, which will tie into something we'll talk about later in the question in the emails. So, anyway, we are playing on Garden first. I hate Garden. This is like one of my least favorite maps in the game. It's just such an awkward geometry, man. I hate this map. It's just very annoying. So, Hammond's dead already. Man, if you got a Hammond and you're on Garden, just watch. Like, if the enemy team's got a Hammond, or there's a Hammond on your team, pretty good chance, probably like 70% chance, that the Hammond just immediately kills himself on this map. How many times have you seen the Hammond dangling under the bridge like, oh god, please get me out, and then they don't get out? How many times? I see it like every other game on this map, to be honest. It's so depressing. So, anyway, oh, there goes the other Hammond. Aha, see? Both of them did it within like 10 seconds of each other. To be fair, Lucio helped one of them. So we got onto the point very quickly. That is the good thing about Symmetra on this map. You can get to the point real fast, and if your team wants to work with you, hey, your whole team gets to the map point very fast. So we are playing risky here by, like, we just saw the Roadhog. There we go. There's Roadhog, so we know he's there. And we're now backing up into Roadhog, and he hooks us. Now, he doesn't kill us, so that's great, but we did see him, and then we're just, like, backing up into him afterwards, so we got hooked, but, yeah, we got away with it. If you don't get punished, you don't have to learn, as I've always said. So we don't want to be all up in Winston's face right now, because we've just taken a lot of damage. So we should actually be backing up away from the Winston instead, because Winston's, like, gonna kill us. Behind us wasn't exactly entirely safe either, but Winston is one of those heroes that you can rely upon to do damage. So given how low we were, unless our team was gonna, like, do a great job of bursting that boy down, we need to put some more distance between us and him. But with Symmetra, we're back fast. Look at that. No problem. Put some turrets up, and man, Symmetra's turrets are mad annoying. Just like trying to come through the door, oh god, you gotta like look up and back to get them, and then they're not like right next to each other. It's very annoying. Symmetra's very annoying like that. So we thought about using the barrier right there, but we can see Sombra's just emptied them, so it doesn't look like it's going to be necessary. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out too well, so we end up using the barrier now instead. It's fine, but like not a lot of our team is getting value out of it because they're actually fighting in front of it. And even Anna can't really use it because she had to walk through it to see the people on the other side of the wall right here. So it's not giving our team a massive amount of value. It would be better just like slightly further up than it actually is. Go back to when we placed it. Because we're all backing up and our team are still like out there. I'm like having trouble seeing the outlines, to be honest with you. The color doesn't agree with me. But if we place it more like a little bit more like around here, and then it also has the benefit of making it way harder to break our turrets that are above the doorway as well, because like any turrets that are, like, behind the barrier or next to it are, like, mad annoying to break. So if they've got, like, an inch where they can actually see the turret from the outside, that makes them even worse. But just, like, way back here, usually, like, cutting the point in half like this is really good. But your team actually has to be fighting on the point to really benefit from it. Because the great thing about Symmetra's ult is that, like, your whole team gets to barrier dance, even if they are not normally heroes that would get a chance to do so. So, ideally, it, like, cuts the team fight in half, rather than the objective in half, and our team is not fighting on the objective right now. Even if we weren't confident in getting our lining it up like that, even just, like, rotating it and putting it like that gives the team more value out of it, because they're all fighting out here. So if it just, like, cuts through like that, then your teammates that are fighting out here can still do the in and out, right? And then they're getting more value out of it than that, whereas back here, basically only we're getting value out of it. So cutting the point in half is good if your team's actually going to fight on the point, because it's more important to cut the team fight in half than the point. It's just, you know, quite frequently those two things will be the same, but not always. But the fight's still going well for us anyway. It's not like it's a huge detriment that it didn't cut the fight in half, because, I mean, we still won the fight handily, right? As you'd hope would be the case after their whole team got emped moments prior. It did look a little sketchy for a second in there, though. So we don't actually have all our turrets up right now, and our cooldown is not ticking, because, oh, 2 turrets. It's been on 3 this whole time, so this is not great efficiency. So we were really expecting something right here, and we were rewarded because she just jumped right across there. I will still nitpick it slightly because we have just put all 3 turrets right on top of each other, which is never as good as just splitting them up. The exception would be if you're about to do, like, the teleporter bomb with them. But just, like, putting them more apart is better, because it's just, if they're all right on top of that, like, May's got an AoE left click now ever since they buffed her, right? So just, like, she just sprays through all of them and they break. So just, like, splitting them up a little bit is almost always better, pretty much. So we've been frozen, we've got sound barrier on us, but tragically sound barrier is not going to save you from Blizzard, unless your teammates actually start, like, turning the fight around while you're being frozen. Tragically, you know, sound barrier is not as good of a defensive ultimate as Transcendence, except in specific circumstances, because Trance can't save you from overwhelming damage or burst damage. Anything that one-shots you, you're still getting one shot if you're in Transcendence. Always seems to trip up, like, newer players. They're always like, I was in trance, what the fuck? You got shot in the head, dude? Like, Widow shot you in the head. McCree used Deadeye. Like, you get one shot, you dead. You dead, man. So we're going for the bomb right here. That might be what we were trying to do, actually, earlier, to be fair, over there. A little bit of a weird angle, but we could have been trying to do that over there, I suppose. So we're back on the point. Hey, look at that. Fight's going well. Oh, Symmetra's doing that. Or Symmetra. Farah's doing that. I heard our Winston start ulting, which was a questionable choice, because he did it, like, basically as the fight was ending. I just heard him rage, and I was like, I don't know about that one, champ. So we just put our ult down right now. Only Winston is over here right now, so we know it's not going to get huge value here, so I would rather save it still, but at that point, it was looking pretty much like no matter what we did, we were going to win the round, but would have still been better to save it for, like, if the enemy team managed to regroup at all. So now I get to play on, Control Tower? Control Center? It's something to that effect, I can never remember. Pretty good map for Symmetra. There's a lot of places that you can be very aggravating with turrets. Yeah, we were trying to do this earlier as well, to be fair, now that I think about it. There they go. I've never actually seen anybody do it on, like, the rim on Garden before. Oh, she's mad. Ah, fucking Symmetra, god damn it, ah. So look at that, half their team's dead. Oh, now 2/3 of their team are dead. Good job, us, good job, us. That might end up being play of the game, because we did just kill a lot of people. And they'll be very upset about it, so good job, us. And we've almost got our ult built up already, how about that? That's really fast to charge Symmetra's ult, but we did kill a lot of people, so... So we've got no turrets out right now, and our cooldown's about to hit max. Now, the longer the cooldown just sits full like that, while we've got not full turrets out, you know, the more it's going to upset me efficiency-wise, but we were saving... we were saving for the, Oh, yes, that's unfortunate. We were saving for the turret bomb, it looks like. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, to be honest, because it said in the email as well, there was one really bad ult use. This could be worse. Like, it wasn't good, but, like, when I read that in the email, I was just imagining a case where it was, like, off in nowhere, pretty much. Just, like, off blocking, like, the ledge on this map or something, like... my mind pictured something dramatically worse than that. Wasn't good, but, you know. But I've definitely seen worse than that at the same time. So we're going to go around the side right here. We did unfortunately wake Roadhog up, but Winston was going to wake him up as well. So we're going real hard for these teleporter bombs, which, you know, they're very annoying, so I understand, but I find that the teleporter bombs are one of those things that, like, eventually stop being as useful, because it plays into the email later, so we'll save that for the end, because the question in the email is, or one of them is related to that. So we'll save that till then, rather than end up repeating it later. I repeat myself enough already. I don't need more assistance, you know. There they go again. It really is, like, all we've gone for with the turret so far. Well, not all we've done. We've placed them down a little bit as well, but I find that the turrets usually are a lot more annoying. Good thing we didn't put our ult down right there. Boy, would we have been sad. Sombra just used Emp. I find that Symmetra's turrets are usually better when they're actually placed down and, like, spread out, because they're more distracting overall and tend to contribute more to the team fight overall than going for the teleporter bomb. The exception for that is, like, if you have noticed that the enemy team is, like, got, like, no AoE on it, or they're just, like, really not very interested in breaking your turrets as they appear, which is, like, the main trick. So we did put our ult down really early, but as you can see, we're about to run out of time, so understandable reason why we'd go for it. Unfortunately, our team just were not there at the time, so we ended up going in largely by ourselves, and we ended up dying. Life is hard. It's never gonna be good when most of your team is dead and you're about to run out of time, so you've just gotta go. So now we're on Night Market. This is probably, like, the best Symmetra map on the entire map for Lijiang is what I was gonna say, which is absolutely awful English, because you can do this, and this is, like, one of the hardest points to advance into when Symmetra's got turrets on it, because there's basically nowhere that you can really break the turrets easily from outside. You can do it through, like, the windows, but, like, not even every hero can do that. So we just slapped them all down right there. I'd still rather they were more spread out, because just, like, slapping them all, like, right on top of that like that, each other like that, it just makes them so easy to break. Because, like, Sombra, rather, just broke all of them. Symmetra would also be able to break all of them immediately. Because you just throw the orb in there and then, bam, they're gone. Just spreading them out is always going to make them more inconvenient. That's unfortunately on the outside of the shield, but I imagine the goal was to put it inside the shield. Symmetra, why do I keep trying to call her Symmetra? Sombra is harassing our Zenyatta, but we pushed him back. Just heard Sombra. There she is. Oh, there she goes. Oh. Oh, here comes Lucio. Good thing about Symmetra, you know, Symmetra's always sad to get emped, obviously. Lose half your health, turret's gone, wall possibly gone, but hey, you've got one of the best weapons for checking for a Sombra. And still, like, balls. So annoying. Man, isn't it funny how much better Symmetra's become after all of these changes? Like, Symmetra, when you get given, like, a lot of space to do stuff, like, we haven't been overly pressured in this game. Symmetra just feels, like, incredibly powerful, doesn't she? When things, like, go really well for her. And that's true of, like, all heroes, but, like, Symmetra is just a very aggravating hero to play against. So, I didn't really like using the turrets like that, because it's fairly low risk for them to break the turrets out there, because the goal with the turrets for me has always been maximum inconvenience, which is pretty much always going to be like, put them above and behind where they're going to come from, that's true. But you'll want it to be in a place where the enemy team can't freely break them, because the whole point of this inconvenience is that they're having to deal with the Symmetra turrets while they're also fighting your team. So if you put them too far up, they can just break them because they're not in a position where they're going to get pressured yet. So rather than chucking them at the door over there, I'd rather put them out here or up here, because, or if I think they're going to go right, up here, like more over near where the doorway is than the window, you know, obviously, but the reason being is they still have to do the inconvenient, like, up and back movement, but now they're, like, in a position where they're engaging a team fight at the same time, so they have to do that while fighting the team, which ends up being more of an inconvenience. But if they're out there, like, they might be getting poked and prodded at while they're coming through that doorway, but they're not, like, in a fight. It's still relatively easy for them to break it, but just, like, think about it here. If they're about to come through this, like, Reinhardt tries to push through this doorway while all our team are stood around here, that's so much worse to walk through this doorway and then be like, really? Fucking really? And that's when the Reinhardt ends up, like, getting clapped, right? Like, classic one, Eichenwald's bridge, right? Reinhardt's walking through, oh god, please, and then he's not even able to, like, back up while holding the shield because the slow is so strong. That's when it's, like, peak annoyance. And they can't even, like, walk through Reinhardt's shield to break them for him because, like, they'll get shot. Reinhardt can't advance through enough because of the fucking slow to really cover them. And you're getting shot at the whole time. That's when it's, like, annoying, you know? So we do have our ultimate built up. Really good point that this is more my speed. This is a pretty good point to have Symmetra's ult on as well, because there are a lot of, like, very clear places on the map where you can place it to inconvenience the team. Basically in any of the doorways, like here, the one, like, there, here, behind us, over at the other doorway even, you know? So we put it down. Unfortunately, Orisa was purple, so she was pretty much going to die regardless, even though Zen used trance. Yeah, life is hard like that sometimes, but hey, things are not exactly looking good for them. Someone's in here. It's Hammond, I think. I don't know what... Yeah, it was Hammond, okay. I was like, I don't know where he went, but there was somebody in here. So, did we get play at the game? We probably got play at the game. I don't think anything else happened, and we killed a lot of people. Yeah, we did. This was pretty sick. I had a lot of trouble parsing the name for a second there, to be honest with you. Yeah, Moira's definitely mad about that still. Good job, us. Good job, us. So, moving over to the email. Not much to say about the game overall. It was a pretty good Symmetra game. Mostly just, like, shield placement wasn't great, you know. I was personally upset with some of the turrets, but, like, overall, like, good Symmetra game. And I mean, you know, we lost a round, but the game at no point felt close, did it? Like, it still felt like we were always in a commanding position, pretty much, after the second round, so not very close. Next one is, so, question is, on another note, if I were the enemy team, how would I deal with the Symmetra that's turret bombing 24/7? I watched it back myself, and I was wondering what I should do if I were in their position, since I've had a few times where the enemy Symmetra was really good, and we lost, basically, to her. So, the thing is, with the turret bombing, is that I find nobody ever wants to be the one to take responsibility for it, pretty much, because when all Symmetra's turrets are grouped up, it's actually very easy to break them. It's just nobody ever wants to do it. Because, like, and if you've got an AoE ability, it, like, helps. Like, if you're playing, like, Soldier, Helix Rocket, gone. All the turrets are gone immediately. Like, Winston's not as good as he was, because the turrets don't have one hit point anymore, but, like, he can just, like, tase in there for half a second, they're gone. Ryan can swing, Orisa can, like, shoot into it. Like, it's not that hard to break them, it's just nobody ever really wants to be the one that does it. And the thing is, the Symmetra is one of those heroes that, like, the more the enemy team is willing to play together, then the harder it is for Sim to get stuff done, but people are bad at doing that, of course. So it's really like, you know, it's not always going to be you that's in a position to do anything about it, unfortunately. If you melee attack into it, I'm pretty sure that would break all of them. It's just that, like, doing that is scary because you don't know if, like, men are going to come through the teleporter as well. Because if you just, like, meleeed, because the melee's 30 damage, right? And Symmetra turrets have 25 health. Let me just double check that. Symmetra stats. I can never remember any of the fucking stats. I did actually look up a stat ahead of time to talk about in a moment with the ult. They have 30 health, and the melee attack does 30 damage. What does the melee attack do? 25 damage. Shit. Overwatch. Melee attack damage. That is not how you spell melee. I have spelt mallet, basically, but it's okay. Google will figure it out. It does... I'm sure it does 30 damage. 30 damage, yes. Okay, so even just like a melee into the teleporter will actually break all 3 turrets. The thing is, it's scary to do that because the turrets are going to come through. You don't know if a man's going to come through as well, and you've got to, like, be on it pretty quick to be able to get up there and break them before you take a bunch of damage. But if you're just like chucking them into the middle of your team, if you're playing like Mercy, you know, Mercy, you just like clack, clack, gone. All the turrets are gone. But it's just that no one ever wants to be the one that deals with it. You know, no one ever wants to be the one that breaks the Symmetra turrets. Like, someone who's played a lot of Reinhardt, I can tell you that when I'm trying to walk through the door, and then the turrets hold me down, and my team just runs off ahead of me, I'm like, does one of you maybe want to break these fucking turrets that are up there that I can't reach because I'm a melee here? No, none of you? Alright, fine. Fuck you too, guys. Like, that's what it's always like. But, like, there's a bunch of stuff in the game that's, like, makes it really easy to break them, because Helix Rocket, Symmetra herself can just throw an orb in there. Flashbang won't do it, but McCree can, like, fan the hammer into the teleporter, they'll be gone, or just, like, click into it a couple times. Anybody with an automatic weapon can shoot into the teleporter and break them pretty quickly. Sometimes it gets funky with the hitbox on the teleporter, sometimes the teleporter will, like, tank hits for the turrets, and that gets really annoying, but... that's one of those oddities with the game, really. Well, not really the oddities, it's just one of the unfortunate aspects of the game that gets annoying, but, like... Sombra can just, like, shoot into there and she'll break them pretty quickly. Winston tasing into them, Ryan can swing into it. Lucio's boop doesn't do enough damage, I don't think. Well, fuck it, I've already looked up so much shit, right? We might as well look up Lucio as well. How much does the boop do for Lucio? As you can tell, I know very few stats in this game off the top of my head. Soundwave does 25 damage. Damn it, so close. So close. That would be a sick buff that, like, nobody would appreciate except for me. It does 30 damage instead of 25 damage. God damn. What else is good for it? Anna could throw a grenade in there, because if you'll probably get the healing buff on people at the same time, based on the way most Symmetras do it. So, like, anyway, the moral of the story is that there's a lot of ways to do it, it's just nobody ever wants to be the one that does it, because they always just kind of, like, want to ignore the Symmetra turrets rather than actually dealing with it. So, like, there are likely to be people on your team that are better dealing with it than other people are, because, like, the people with the really good AoE abilities, like Helix Rocket, Ayash's Dynamite, Reinhardt, Symmetra herself, like, these are people that have got, like, AoE abilities that'll just break all the turrets in one go. So those are the people that are better for it, but, like, pretty much just, like, someone has to take responsibility for it, because nobody ever wants to, and, like, you know, that's frequently going to end up being you, really, you know, life is hard this way, but, even if you're just like Mercy, just, like, take out the pistol and, like, shoot into it if it doesn't look like anybody else is going to take care of it, right? Just, like, somebody has to be the one that does it, because the longer they're just allowed to sit there doing their thing, that's, like, when they're really fucking people up. So... that's what you do if you're in their position. You just kind of respect the fact Symmetra is doing it. And this is part of the thing as well, as I was going to say earlier, is that, like, if you observe that the Symmetra is doing the turret bombing constantly, then, like, someone on your team, like, you need to have a conversation with your team, like, they keep doing this, like, someone has to take responsibility for this, pretty much. Like, somebody has to do this, because she's gonna keep doing it. Because it becomes a very predictable pattern, where, like, alright, she's got her turrets up, she's gonna do it, like, here comes the oh, she's placing the teleporter, here they come. Like, as soon as you can see Symmetra placing them, the turret, the teleporter, you're like, here they come, and then you're just ready, and you, like, deal with it. Like, The problem is someone actually has to do that. That's the issue, is getting the person to actually do it. It's one of those things that, like, the more the Symmetra does it, the more of a predictable pattern it becomes, and the easier it should be to counter it, because it becomes more and more expected. The thing is, people are just very bad at adapting to things, you know. This is something that playing a fighting game really fucking taught me, is that and playing Reinhardt as well, if the enemy team has, like, a predictable thing that they keep doing over and over and over and over again, and there's, like, a counter to it, like, the more they do it, the more easy it should be to counter it, and, like, there are counters to the Symmetra, it's just no one wants to do it. Not to belabor the point and, like, beat a dead horse, but the moral of the story is no one ever just wants to take responsibility for it. So, like, if you're on a team and it feels like it's that way, you know, if there's somebody that's, like, good on your team for dealing with that kind of thing, that has, like, an AoE ability pretty much, then, you know, try and communicate with that person to, like, do that. But, you know, if you don't want to talk to people, or, because I understand I don't want to talk to people, or, if nobody on your team is great for, you don't want to talk to them, nobody's going to work with you, you know, any of the standard reasons, then, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to take responsibility for it on their own volition, then it's just going to have to be you, unfortunately, even if you're not somebody that's very suited to it. As long as you aren't, like, Moira, you should be fine, really, because Moira is awful at breaking structures. Like, she is so bad at breaking things. So as long as you, like, if you're Moira, it's gonna be very upsetting for you. But unless you're, like, want to go up and punch him. But if it doesn't look like anybody's gonna take care of it, and, like, you don't want to talk to people / they're not listening, it's gonna have to be you, even if you're not, like, the ideal person to deal with it, unfortunately. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself, you know. So there was another question in the email, which was, my main question was with my stats. Do you think I should have more damage blocks? Sometimes I only use less than 1,000 health with the barrier, and I was wondering if I should have higher, and we will bring the stats over so that we can have a gander at them. Please expand. That's not really, oh god, it's not really what I was going for. If you could just, like, maximize. Thank you. That's still not particularly helpful. Zoom, there we go. So where's the damage blocked? So, I mean, that's fine. The stats are pretty fine. Like, Symmetra is one of those heroes that, like, she's one of those heroes that I would describe as being like Mei, where I'd say, also I realized I cracked my knuckles right into the microphone. I'm sorry, that probably sounded terrible. I've always described Mei as being a hero that doesn't do a lot of damage, but she is very good at killing people. I would describe Symmetra in much the same lines, where she is likely not to rack up huge hero damage. Like, if Symmetra has got gold damage, that's sick, but it was probably an unusual game, where they're just, like, walking into orbs, or they gave you a lot of free reign, but Symmetra is very good at killing people, which is the case with most, like, area denial characters, pretty much, where they don't necessarily do a lot of damage, but they are very good at killing people, which is not necessarily the same thing. Someone like Soldier will end up doing a lot of damage, but Soldier isn't the best at actually sealing the deal and killing people, you know, is the main difference that I draw here. With the damage blocked specifically, you know, I read this question ahead of time, and, like, I kind of, like, really thought about this one, and I was like, the damage blocked for Symmetra is, it kind of doesn't matter how low it is, in a strange way, because I thought about the ability, and it's one of those abilities where, like, you don't want to shoot it, you know, because it's almost impossible to break Symmetra's barrier. So any damage you put into the barrier itself is going to be wasted. So it kind of doesn't matter how low it is, because any damage that the barrier ends up taking is going to be almost by accident, you know, or people have just, like, really got nothing better to do from the position they're in, so they shoot the barrier. So I thought about it, and it's like, you know, if I'm playing Ashe and, like, the barrier's in front of me, I just immediately stop shooting, because it's going to do nothing except waste my ammo to shoot it. You know, I can't do anything about the barrier. If I'm playing, like, most here, if I'm playing Soldier, I don't shoot the barrier. If I'm playing Pharah, I don't shoot the barrier, you know? If I'm fighting someone and they're, like, barrier dancing with it, I'm gonna end up shooting the barrier and doing damage to it by accident, pretty much, because I'm, like, still actively trying to fight this person, it's just they're dancing through the barrier. So, like, it's one of those stats where, like, I wouldn't worry if it's below 1,000 damage, because the very nature of the ability and the fact that it more or less has infinite hit points means people aren't going to shoot it if they can at all avoid it. So I wouldn't really worry about it. I would just think more like, it's one of those things where I don't think its stat is in any way helpful. You just kind of have to think about how you used it in the game, and do I feel like I placed it in, like, inconvenient places for the enemy team? Just because you don't want to shoot it. Because there's, like, only a couple of ways you can realistically break Symmetra's barrier. Obviously you can emp it, and then it's gone. Bastion can do it, and this is the thing I looked up ahead of time, because I was pretty sure this was the case. Roadhog can almost entirely break the barrier by himself, because Whole Hog does 4,928 damage, and Symmetra's barrier has 5,000 health. So Roadhog is within 100 points of being able to break the barrier entirely by himself with his ultimate. And given Whole Hog is not an incredible ultimate, that's like a perfectly viable use of his ultimate, I think, to just break Symmetra's barrier, pretty much. And if, like, anybody's helping him, or, like, anybody damage boosts the Roadhog, he's gonna break the barrier pretty quickly. So outside of those cases, like, nothing's gonna break the barrier, really. This is something I should have looked up. How much does Barrage do? I don't think Barrage... I'll be surprised if Barrage does half the damage to kill the barrier, but let me check. Barrage does it really not have max damage written down here in any way? Oh god, oh Jesus Christ, oh fuck. I guess I'll do the math, because I mean it tells me everything else. Calculator. Because they're always gonna do max damage. So it's 40 damage times how many rockets? God damn it, it doesn't actually say the max number of rockets. God fucking damn it. This has become more math than I want to do suddenly. Does it say how long it lasts at max? Like I can fucking... Nope, it says 30 rockets per second. Duration. Okay, so it's 30 rockets per second, so it's 40 times 60. 2,400. Ha! It doesn't do half. I was fucking right. It's just under half. Nice. So yeah. We basically have got, like, a couple options for breaking Symmetra's barrier. So I wouldn't worry about that stat, like, at all. You kind of just have to, like, think about it in the game. Like, did it feel like it was very inconvenient for people during a team fight? Because it's one of those where, like, its value is going to be very difficult to track stat-wise. And the other stats, like, they seem fine. 4 deaths, especially for a King of the Hill game, I would consider to be, like, really good. Because King of the Hill games are always more chaotic anyway, and, like, 4 deaths is pretty low, especially for, like, a allegedly quite short-range hero, right? Like Symmetra, so deaths is good. Eliminations... it wasn't a super long game, so, like, 28 eliminations is also pretty fucking good, to be honest, for, like, a 10-minute game on a King of the Hill map. It's pretty good, and 20 objective kills is, like... anytime that objective kills gets above 10, I'm always like, wow, that's a fucking lot of objective kills, bruh. That's, like, a fucking lot. So I would say that, yeah, your stats are good, and I would not worry about the... damage block stat on the shield. I think that using less than 1,000 is going to end up being fine most of the time. It's possible if it's got less than 1,000, it was badly placed, but at the same time, I think it is also just likely the enemy team didn't shoot it, which can be good in its own way, so I wouldn't worry about that. And was there any other question in the email? No, you say I apologize for the influx of emails from me lately. Bruh, like, honestly, don't worry about it at all. In fact, send more, if anything, because I never actually have that many videos in, like, the backlog. Like, I've got, like, 3 videos on me right now. A couple of weeks ago, I was having to, like, go to the subreddit and, like, harass people to give me videos, pretty much. Because I don't want to use anybody's video without permission. So, you know, I go to the Reddit and I don't email them. I message them all. Like, hey, can I use this? And nobody's ever said no. But, you know, I don't want to do it without asking them, obviously. So, if anything, please do send me more. And, like, frankly, your emails are always great because they're always so nicely formatted. You always have the team comp in here, and you basically always ask good questions. So, like, if anything, send me more. Don't be apologizing for sending too many in. Like, by all means. Everybody, send me more. Not just you, everybody in general, but fucking don't apologize for sending too many, and if anything, I want you to send more. So, there you go. So, anyway. Good game. Stats are fine. Don't worry about the damage blocked. Moral of the story is, Symmetra needs teamwork to beat, like most turret heroes do, and teamwork's hard to come by. Right, in Overwatch, sadly. So, there you go. So, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you felt I answered your question from the email inadequately, please let me know, and I will try to expand further. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord, ask questions more directly, and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. I've started streaming on Twitch Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 8 p.m. EST till midnight EST. There's a link to the channel in the description. And if you managed to make it all the way through the video and somehow still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future. And I hope you found the video helpful.